Hello and welcome to this week's West Asia Post with me, Ghadi Francis, our weekly show where we bring you stories from the world's most volatile region. We started the year with the killing of the Iranian General Qassem Soleimani. And as the year comes to an end, our focus remains on another gruesome assassination. Iran's top nuclear scientist was killed in an attack just outside the capital of Tehran. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was often named the father of Iran's nuclear program. Our next report tells you more.
A brazen daylight attack on a major road just outside Tehran. One of Iran's most prominent nuclear scientists, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, was traveling in a car when he was attacked. He was seriously wounded when assailants targeted his car. They detonated an explosion, forcing his car to stop before shooting at Fakhrizadeh's car. Images from the scene showed a black sedan on the side of the road, its windshield pockmarked with bullet holes. Fakhrizadeh later died after medics failed to revive him. Born in 1958 in Qom, Fakhrizadeh first joined the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Even as a scientist, he retained a senior rank in the Iranian Revolutionary Guards as a brigadier general. Fakhrizadeh was believed to have been involved in Iran's ballistic missile development. He is the only Iranian scientist named in the International Atomic Energy Agency's 2015 final assessment about Iran's nuclear program. Once described by Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu as the father of Iran's nuclear weapons program,
a key part of the plan was to form new organizations to continue the work. This is how Dr. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, head of Project Ahmad, put it. Remember that name, Fakhrizadeh.
Fakhrizadeh's killing has plunged Iran into turmoil. A blame game has begun in West Asia, with Iran accusing Israel of killing the nuclear scientist. Rouhani accused Israel of acting as a mercenary for the US in carrying out the assassination. He further said, and I quote, "Once again, the wicked hands of the global arrogance with the usurper Zionist regime as the mercenary were stained with the blood of a son of this nation." Unquote. Ironically, even a top US administration official said that Israel was behind the attack. The killing is the latest in a series of assassinations that the Islamic Republic has blamed on Israel. Between 2010 and 2012, 4 Iranian nuclear scientists have been assassinated in Tehran. Most of these have been in dramatic fashion, with motorcycle-borne assailants and car bombs. But the timing of this assassination is strategic. Comes less than 2 months before Joe Biden is set to take office as the 46th President of the United States. Biden has promised a return to diplomacy with Iran. The president-elect has said that the US will return to the 2015 deal if Iran resumes compliance. Meanwhile, anger in Iran has prompted the passing of a bill, one that requires the government to suspend nuclear inspections unless sanctions are lifted. But the government promptly said the move could not change Iran's nuclear policy. Iran's President Hassan Rouhani has now rejected the new bill, calling it harmful to diplomatic efforts aimed at restoring the 2015 nuclear deal. West Asia Bureau, WION. World is one.
This assassination has triggered a new conflict in West Asia. Tehran has vowed harsh revenge and is pointing fingers at Israel. But the killing of Iran's top nuclear scientist exposed a security gap for the country. However, the question remains, what will Iran do next?
Following the killing of Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, there has been considerable anger on the streets of Iran. People were seen taking to the streets. and even protesting outside Iran's parliament. Inside the parliament, the scene was no different. Iranian lawmakers chanted death to America and death to Israel. But the anger and frustration goes much deeper than that. With this latest killing, deep fault lines in the country's security infrastructure are now exposed for the world to see, suggesting that the Islamic Republic is vulnerable to further attacks. There are conflicting accounts on how Fakhrizadeh was assassinated, but a degree of infiltration is certain. Fakhrizadeh's killing followed two other big security lapses. The theft of Iran's nuclear archive and a fire at a nuclear facility this year. Many believe that Iran's enemies have found its Achilles heel. Iran's inability to prevent such operations could encourage future attempts. But there's a much more pressing issue at hand. Core supporters of the Islamic Republic have had enough. They want revenge and they want it against Israel. Tehran says that it will launch a crushing response to Fakhrizadeh's killing. The country has a few options before it. One would be to accelerate its nuclear program, something that the country's hardline parliament seems to be in favor of. Stepping up the program would be a way of showing defiance. A second option could be to mobilize its proxies across West Asia, using them to strike back at Israel. But an option that Iran's top leadership could be leaning towards is doing absolutely nothing for now. Retaliatory measures could make it hard for Joe Biden to change America's Iran policy. And no one knows that better than Iranian leaders. President Hassan Rouhani has said Iran will retaliate for the killing at the proper time, but will not fall into Israel's trap in the last days of Donald Trump's presidency.
All think tank centers and all the enemies of Islamic Iran know that the Iranian nation and officials are too brave and zealous to ignore this criminal act. The relevant authorities will respond to this crime in a timely and appropriate manner.
11 months back, Iran responded to Qassem Soleimani's killing with an airstrike on US troops in Iraq. This time around, it cannot afford such a strike. For now, the world is waiting for Iran's response. West Asia Bureau, WION World is One.